Welcome to Mr. Honeycutt's math class. We're going to look at the secant and cosecant functions quickly. I'm not actually going to do the full thing. You can if you really want to. The math really does work. But remember, the secant function is 1 over cosine. That's going to be the key to understanding what the secant function looks like. So, and if it is 1 over cosine, that's why I put his cosine function here. Basically, whatever's going to happen to this cosine function, you're just going to do a 1 over. And so anytime the cosine function has a 0, we're going to get a vertical asymptote. So let's just draw those real quick. Anyway, and then you would just plug in these cosine values to get something these. So for values that are less than 1, it's actually 1 over, like a small value, 1 over 1/2. If I take a cookie and I divide it into half cookies, I get 2 half cookies. So hey, if the cosine of pi over 3 is 1/2, then the secant, the 1 over 1/2, is going to end up being 2. And then 1 over 1 is just 1. So we can kind of get a sketch here of what that's going to look like. And yeah, it's going to look something like this. And it's going to look, and then instead of it would be negative 1/2, it'd be negative 2. And negative 2 and 1, and it's going to look like this. So that's basically what it looks like. It looks kind of like a quadratic, except that quadratic repeats and flips over and over. The other thing to tell the difference between a secant and a cosecant is where it starts. Okay. The secant function is going to go through the y-axis. It's going to have a y-intercept because the cosine of 0 is 1. So the secant of 0 is 1, which is right there. So it has to go through the y-axis, has a y-intercept. That's going to be the main difference visually to tell what's going on with the secant function. Looking at the cosecant function, all right, remember this one is 1 over sine. So anytime that sine of x is 0, we're going to have vertical asymptotes. So we're going to have similar things going on here where 1 over 1 is still 1. So those graphs will intersect there. And then at pi over 6, 1 over 1/2 is 2, because 1 cookie divided into half cookies makes 2 half cookies. A division problem I do with my children all the time. No, you cannot have a whole cookie. You can only have half a cookie. Oh, there are 2 of you. Even better. So that one looks like this. This graph's going to look like this and this. This one's going to look kind of like that. So, again, notice there is, on the y-axis, no y-intercept because sine of 0 is 0. And then dividing, that means it would be, for cosecant, would be 1 over sine of 0, which would give us a vertical asymptote. So we're dividing by 0. That's why there's a vertical asymptote here. So there's no x or y intercepts for the cosecant function. That's kind of the main easy to see visual difference between these. So that's what the secant and cosecant functions look like. On the IB test, most of the time, they actually don't refer to these functions as secant and cosecant. They will actually just give you this, or they might give you, or for secant, they'll give you 1 over cosine, or they'll put a cosine in the denominator. But I'm telling you, they will expect you to understand that that's going to look and act different than just a regular cosine function will. So